glad to be back. I am the director, producer, all the above, lead voiceover for More the Explorer, the animated short, as well as, or maybe in this case I should call myself the co-star to More, because she's the real superstar in this whole thing. It was quite a challenge to work with her in the studio. I can get into that. Wow, where do I begin? Well, let's go back, way back. No, not that far back. A little bit more recently. Well, okay, a couple years ago, without showing my age, cough, cough. Actually, in 1992, part of 91, I actually got connected with it was my great aunt, and I had shown interest in radio, and she wanted me to come up to the college radio station. And, you know, I created sort of a demo tape, and back when they still had cassettes before, now they're doing MP3s. And, you know, I was like, well, please don't treat me anything special. You know, I'd like to go through the whole process. And I sat in with her, and she said, yep, you're ready. You can have the morning show. And I'm like, what? So I started doing my first character I started doing was, because Bullwinkle, in this case, Bullwinkle, yeah, was copyrighted, we had to come up with something else that showed the theme to the central coast area, or central to mid area of the state of Maine, which we felt would be a moose, in this case, moose. And I started portraying a character called Coolwinkle, and he was this little short moose with glasses on, and people they'd call in and they thought I was talking to somebody, because I was literally like shifting the mic, and that's one of my first early voice experiments that I started doing. I used to do a lot of voiceovers and just playing around with a lot of characters when I was very, very young, and listening to radio for hours and music, and even when I was earlier playing it, you know, I would always sort of find myself messing around with sound and sound and tone. Say I put them together, you'll find that I tend to put a lot of my words together. And I continued to do that. I did radio. I did voiceovers for commercial work. I had done some acting classes, workshops. Gosh, where do I begin? I mean, everything from radio, media, acting. I mean, I crossed the board on so many genres. You know, I was doing modeling, so I was showing other forms of art in that way as well, and in my music and everything. So I found myself doing that, and then we were approached, and we're like, who better to do More the Explorer than Jen? And plus, with my new book, they've actually been talking about having me voice that. So it's been giving me all this wonderful experience to work with these individuals and working and getting more, and, you know, constantly still learning all kinds of things. So that was just a small piece of where all that experience came from, with so much more that I can only begin to talk about. Well, you know, the way that this project kind of started was when I was young. I remember my mom had tons of cabinets, and my brother can vouch for this, and we both were playing around with the cupboards, and we loved that sort of magical, childish kind of, childlike kind of metaphor. And then years later, when I was able to have foster children and stepchildren, I always enjoyed that little sort of moment where usually life was so crazy busy that we'd forget to kind of slow down and put like a blanket over us, and it's like raining outside, and we like share a little short story. And I love the Dr. Seuss rhythmic type books, and that always inspired me, as well as in the music that I've written. I've written other music and soundtrack work and whatnot for other projects like Friday. And I had really loved that rhythmic sound. So I had started to sort of write these little books that I had these ideas in my head for the longest time, because I've had cats throughout my life too, and they've always inspired me, kind of like the way Garfield did with the writer Jim Davis. And, you know, when I had gotten Mora, she came home, and it was amazing because we had this little cabinet, between a cabinet and an oven, this little hole that she used to crawl into and come back out, and I'd be like, so did you just have a wonderful adventure, Mora? Or in my kitty talk, did you have a wonderful adventure, Mora? Yeah. And you see, she's turning her head right now. She's off in the corner over there. Purr, 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 right, Mora? And that kind of inspired this idea of, what if we go to this magical place that's childlike, but it also allows us to get away from everything, and it also can give back to not only anti-bullying, but and being that I've been an advocate for a lot of the anti-violence and anti-bullying work, as well as I wanted to kind of give back for the, being that I adopted her. They did a small celebrity photo shoot recently for the Celebrities Adopt a Pet Day, and I did that a year ago, and we're featured on part of that, and I wanted to give back to one of the shelters in some way. So part of the proceeds are all going to that we're doing this for. And here she is. She's coming over to say hi. Say hi to the camera, Morgan. Say hi, everybody. Hi, baby. Yeah. Tell you, it's hard living with a diva like this, because she's more famous than me. I'll tell you, it's tough. I mean, thank goodness we don't have to worry about wardrobe, because we'd be sharing each other's if we had the same size, right, honey? But thank goodness you wear barely any, and she was actually really good when we got her behind the microphone. Now, actually, that was quite a feat too. We kind of walked. I kind of followed her around basically with this little like MP3 recorder, and we were trying to capture her. And actually, I knew that she usually likes to sometimes meow when she's getting ready to go out. She wants to go out the door, and I knew that that was going to be a perfect opportunity to capture that. So we captured that and some purrs and some other, sorry, see, I'm like spitting out kitty hairs, but you do that all the time when you have cats. It's all good, but I love it. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way. She's the best. So that's kind of how that story started to come together. Well, how it became part of the project, well, I was kind of excited because with all that happening, we were creating these little children's series books, and people were starting to buzz about it, and all the kids were loving it, and except when I started to speak out, recently. And and I started this Celebrity Donate a Day program, and I went to one of the local schools, and all the kids like loved it, and they're all excited to see more. And when I did the 100th Women's for Equality Bridge March and Walk, we went to New Hampshire, and Maura was on my shoulder that day. We had her little harness on so that I could keep an eye on her across the bridge, and that was quite a challenge. I got pretty scarred up that day, but it was still an exciting day, I thought, right, Maura? And we walked across the bridge, and just people were absolutely smitten with her immediately. And we've been wanting to create this into sort of an, like the animation kind of, it was always kind of in the background in my mind on some way to create that. And so I wanted to, and then I started looking for animators. Didn't have a lot of money, and then I started contacting folks, and then YouTube wanted to team up with us, and Go Animate came on, and then we found another animator that's used the Go Animate media software, and a comedian named Helen Thompson. Shout out to you, girl. And she did a fabulous job. I'm really impressed with her work. I mean, she knows that software, like the back of her hand, and she's done a lot of other animation with that. So immediately, I mean, we clicked, and I sent her the information that we had. I mean, we sent the script, and I said, basically, I'm like, you already have an amazing vision. I'd like to see kind of what your vision would be, without giving you too much detail, to see what we come up with. And she floored me. It was amazing. So that came back, and we already sent off to have her work on parts 2 and 3. And the animation is plugging away, and we're so excited about this project. I mean, so much I could say about it. My vision and what I wanted to kind of bring to it kind of was almost kind of answered in that last question. Just to add a little bit more, we just wanted to be able to see this, because not only see it through media and visual presentation, but seeing it on the screen. I mean, the first time that I had received that animation, it was very rough animation at that time, and Mora had to be portrayed as a white cat, because she couldn't create, or we couldn't upgrade to the higher end software yet, and so she had to work with a white cat, and very primitive work, but it was what we had to work with at the time, and it was just amazing on sort of our first take one. Was really amazing. I was really inspired by that vision, and then from there it just kind of spawned into this whole thing, and now it's like going crazy viral, and going to movie festivals and film festivals, and we're like, wow, this is amazing, and we're starting to get really some good attention on it, and that's my furthest away vision has been to have folks like DreamWorks and Pixar and others to be able to maybe pick up that story and really take it to a whole nother level, or find animators that have that means to do that 3D animation, and be able to take more they explore to a whole nother level. And that's really kind of where that whole vision originally started from, and it just went, I mean, viral crazy from there. So it's been really exciting and a really fun, wonderful time. What did I like or dislike about the project? I can't really say there's much. All I can say is there were so many pieces that I liked. I mean, I loved every aspect of it. I think the first tear of joy was when I received that animation back and seeing literally like animation movement to these characters. I mean, that just sent chills up my spine. And I started, I mean, like I am right now, starting to cry. But what I disliked, I haven't seen anything that I really disliked other than just one of the most hardest things in this industry that always anyone suffers from, is the very common money issue. And being that we are very limited on that, and this is, all the proceeds are going, it's been difficult to find avenues to bring this out on such a limited budget. But it's so amazing to see the collaboration of such talented people come together and help this creation come to life, and take it somewhere to a whole nother level, which has been, more than I could ever have dreamed. So there's so much like and very little dislike to it that I could really say. What would I have done differently? Well, just really, very simply, I just wished maybe that we could have found, now we've already found some amazing talented people, but it would have been wonderful to see just a couple more come on to take it to a whole nother level. But granted, now that we've got this exposure, we might be able to take it to another place next time, or someone might be like, oh, hey, I've seen that. And, they show their interest in wanting to help or whatever. So, but what we could have done differently, I wish I could have afforded to upgrade to a more advanced animation system. We just couldn't afford that kind of means, and that this also being sort of the first anime short that's really being done and funded by not only non-for-profit, but by JW Enterprises. So we're very excited to see them take on their first project. And I think with any new project, you always find, oh, okay, here's what we do next time, or here's what we do different now, or, I find that like kind of as I go. And even though doing all the research, there's only so much research you can do until you have hands-on. And when you have hands-on, you go, oh, okay, here's where I do this or that differently, or pull from that direction or this one. What was my experience working with JW Enterprises and with Kelly, Helen, Thompson, as well as Gay Pearson? all I can say is amazing talent. Those words right there should say it all. I mean, these folks have been absolutely a joy to work with, extremely talented. You know, I was just very grateful and truly honored and pleasured to have the opportunity to work with these people. And I'm not just saying that clichéing. I mean, true, downright honest. I mean, they were such a blast. And of course, I'm forgetting the most important star of all, Mora. Now, she was a bit of a diva to work with, especially on camera. No, she was absolutely just wonderful. I mean, she was such a good sport, and you know, she's been really good. Right, baby? Yeah, she's over there in the corner giving herself a little bath. I know, that's a good idea, honey. I think I'll do the same thing. Well, thank you so much for having me for this wonderful behind the scenes. And I heard you said this is behind the scenes digging through the litter. Yeah. So I love that title. Very inventive. Thank you folks so much for having me. I cannot appreciate it. The honor was truly mine to be part of this project. Boy, what's next for this? Oh my goodness, where do I start? My gosh. Geez, we've had so much happening for me. It just in the last year, it's just been boom, exploding. Well, we're already going back into the studio, and we're recording the voiceovers for Mora the Explorer Part 2 and Part 3 animated shorts. So I know those are in future production as well, so there'll be 3 parts to that. I think that's part of the series going into the children's series books. I know that the books will be coming out soon. Gosh, I mean, there's so much to tie in for Mora the Explorer. I mean, I know the trailer's out now, and a lot of people have been buzzing and having a lot of fun with it. It's been a blast out there for them. Gosh, where do I begin? There's so much that I'm involved in. I'm still involved in the anti-violence project and part of the Stop Gender Violence campaign that we do, Celebrity Donated Day. I've been involved with Red Cross, and just doing all kinds of sort of celebrity spokeswomanships for many items. Oh, we have the new perfume coming out. I'll be in that commercial. There's a lot of things on the plate that's happening for me. I couldn't even fathom. But when it comes to Mora the Explorer, we are very excited to see the book series coming out, the animated shorts coming out with it. We'll be doing more voiceover work in the studio. Very excited. Future endeavors, hands down. So thank you folks so much. I love you.